This morning at lovely Waikiki Beach. Perfect time and place to talk about British punk rock legends. The Damned. I haven't done a Damned video in a long time. I did that whole countdown to Darkadelic thing, that series of videos that, it was a bit anticlimactic. Like, I did this big build for weeks, and then it came out, and I was like, hey, it's alright. It's, you know, it was a good album, it's just, there's something missing, you know, it's just not the, I don't know. And what was missing has now returned. About 6 months ago, the news broke, oh yeah, I'm a little late on it, that our Rat Scabies has returned to the lineup. This should have happened a long time ago. This should have happened a long time ago. Now, I know for fans like me, it's easy to say it should have happened a long time ago, but if you've ever been in a band, even like a, you know, shit, it's even worse when the band isn't successful. It's a lot more stressful. Personalities are very tough to deal with in a sort of creative space, you know, because artists are weird, you know, and they get a lot of hang-ups. And if you don't have the right people around you, it's gonna suck. Trust me. So while it's easy for us to say, you know, he belongs there, there was some problems between him, mainly in Captain Sensible. Rat always tried to have a control of the business end of things, and he did some admittedly kind of crappy shit. Like he kind of drummed Paul Gray out of the band, who's still in the band, who's back in the band now. So what we have in essence is my favorite lineup of the band, which is the early '80s lineup, which produced such albums as the Black Album, Strawberries, the Friday the 13th EP, all good stuff. It's my favorite lineup. Rat and his dad were really involved. Not to get into the weeds here, but they were really involved with the management and control of the band and the deals and stuff. And Paul Gray, through a girlfriend, got them a deal when they didn't have one. I think it was with Bronze. And Bronze ultimately only did one album with them, their Friday the 13th EP. But anyway, this infuriated Rat, who, because I guess he wanted to be the one to do it. He was a lot younger too. I'm sure he's like a way more laid back guy now. And and that's just an example of kind of stuff. He got real upset about it. And then him and Captain had kind of a falling out during the reunion tour in '89, where they butted heads again over money. Then there was the whole Not of This Earth kerfuffle, which is a Damned album, certainly with an asterisk next to it, because it's not, I mean, that's kind of been every release since stuff. I try to find the good things in them. They certainly have had good albums. What was that one, Standing on the Edge? Not of This Earth, that was good. I even like, So Who's Paranoid? I even like that one, which that's more a Captain Sensible solo album with Dave on it. But yeah, the getting back with Rat thing, I think was prompted by the original lineup reunion shows that they did with Brian James a couple years back. They all got together and played songs off the first few albums that they had, the classic punk rock albums, Damned, and Music of Pleasure. And I think that probably helped fix things between them and Rat, because Rat should definitely be there. Brian James is great, but I'd rather not have him in the band, because if he's in the band, we're stuck just playing 2 albums. And it's not my favorite period. I like the early punk rock period, but the good shit came later. Arguably their best album in a lot of people's minds, and objectively maybe their best album, is Machine Gun Etiquette. That did not have Brian James. You had Algie Ward on bass from the Angels, who later on went to front heavy metal band Tank. Those first 2 Tank albums are pretty good too. If you like Motorhead style, like heavy metal, it's not like hair metal. It's like Motorhead kind of. Yeah, so Algie Ward only appeared on that one album, but that album as far as rock and roll, that's up there with Who's Next, as far as I'm concerned. As far as like, it's not just a classic punk album, it's a classic fucking album, period. But Algie left, formed Tank, as Paul Gray informed Sensible a couple years later. At that time, there was way more money in heavy metal than there was in punk. When Paul Gray left, was drummed out of The Damned and ended up in UFO, he was making way more money. You know, punk rock is not known to be, you know, unless you're a hype machine that ends up signing big deals like the Sex Pistols and stuff, and how much of that money they got to even keep, I don't know. I think Malcolm McLaurin got it all. But Malcolm was involved with The Damned early on. I'm not going to get into the intelligence agency aspect of the whole punk rock movement in London in the 1970s, but basically they were collecting a pool of dudes to try to form bands out of that would then be part of this whole movement. And you had MI6 and Mossad were involved in this one, where with the hippie movement, you had the American CIA. It was their production. This time it was these other guys' turn to do a cultural shift through music. And they got together a bunch of different people, like a giant pool of artists, and in that pool you had like Adam Ant, you had Chrissie Hynde, you had the members of The Damned, you had the members of Clash, Billy Idol, all these characters that went on to be in other bands. There was a period where they were mixing and matching these people. Sid Vicious was almost a singer for The Damned. If he showed up for his audition, I'm sure he would have taken him. Luckily, he didn't, because he's fucking Sid. He probably forgot all about it. And Dave Anian showed up, and they said, okay. They took him. Malcolm was still working with them at the time. They had a falling out with Malcolm because what happened was when he wanted the Sex Pistols to go on tour, he knew that they didn't have any kind of connections outside of London. They'd only played in the city proper, while The Damned had moved around the country and had made connections in different venues in some of the smaller places. So what they did is they put The Damned on the bill, as well as the Clash and Johnny Thunders, to get into these places. You know, because the Sex Pistols didn't have any pull. Clash didn't have any pull. Johnny Thunders was there for the ride, you know. He was like a hero of everybody's, and he was great, you know, Johnny Thunders. But they needed The Damned to sort of get them in these places. And when they arrived at one particular venue, Sex Pistols had already gained a little bit of reputation, and I think it may have been just when the Bill Grundy stuff was breaking, when they appeared on that show and caused a big meltdown with the British public because they swore on the that was absolutely staged, of course, you know. A glass eye up a duck's ass could see that. But what happened was the venue was like, yeah, we'll take everybody else, but Sex Pistols cannot play, right? So The Damned was like, well, we'll still do it. We know these people. We're not going to fuck these people over out of a show because of the Sex Pistols. Malcolm became incensed by this, called them traitors to punk rock, said they're not punk, and tried to pretty much blacklist them. And it worked, kinda. I mean, they had everything they did from there on in was a fucking struggle. They couldn't stay on a label. It's like they almost got signed to MCA by accident, kind of, if you look at that whole story. They just had trouble from there on in, because when you're MI6, it's not too hard to blackball people. But at any rate, after that, the Sex Pistols really blew up because the Grundy thing gained more traction, and they found they didn't need Damned, so they were kicked off the tour. And that would be the first of things were going. When they first came out, things were going up and up and up. Jimmy Page showing up at shows, Mick Jagger sending them pies, T-Rex taking them on tour. And then this breakdown with Malcolm happened, and it was just fucking shitsville. From then on in, the curse of the Damned. They charted singles and had successful albums despite all their problems. It just shows what a great band they were. They were the best of all those bands, hands down. There's no competition between them and like the Clash. Certainly not the Sex Pistols. And I love the Sex Pistols, but they're more like it's not so much about music with them. The tunes were good, but it was a bit more manufactured, about manufactured. And I know Johnny Rotten, he takes umbrage with that, and I love him. I think he's a great guy, and I understand where he's coming from. But it was kind of, they were very put together and coddled and treated like a modern like pop act, or what would be a boy band in the past 20 years. And unfortunately it imploded, but then we did get Public Image, so that's great. But yeah, Rat is back in the band. He should have been in the band a long time ago. I wish it could have worked out with him. I think if he had stayed, or if they'd patched it up with him, they could have had a different trajectory now, because a lot of those old punk bands like have gone on to legendary status by parlaying their name into things like TV commercials and the larger pop culture consciousness, where the Damned has never made that move. They've always been underground. They never got the payoffs that what's that band, Pete Kelly, oh god help me, what do I get, you know what I'm talking about, escaping my mind, that band. You know, they never got the Polaroid commercials or any of that advertising money that all these other bands got, you know, in their time. I almost call them stiff little fingers. What's wrong with me? Buzzcocks, thank you. Oh my god. Well, I had to chase that one around the fucking barn. Talk about going from your ass to your elbow to get to what the fuck. But yeah, so now hopefully, I think their problem too has always been management. They never had a solid management with like a game plan. They do things kind of haphazardly. A tour here, an album there. There's never a concentrated push. And that could be because some of the personalities in the band, but they need like a professional company to handle them. And I don't know if they're still kind of, you know, kept from that because of things in the past, but they need someone to come in and really utilize their potential. I know it's very lame to talk about, you know, from what punk began as, to sit here and go, yeah, they really need to maximize their marketability, but they fucking should get paid. You know, I want Dave Banian to have a castle. You know, he deserves it. He's given me lots of fucking happiness over the years. They all have. I want the captain to have his own train. You know what I mean? Hell, a lot lesser people have that kind of stuff. And it's not just about all the trappings and material bullshit, but the respect as well. You know, how many punk documentaries do you hear, like, it's either Clash, the Sex Pistols, and then like some other band, like the Jam. It's like the Jam were there, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, always the third band will always be anyone but the Damned, when they should absolutely be one of the big three all the time. And as the years go by, the problem compounds itself. So hopefully with Rat back, they can make like a bigger splash. I would like new music, and I think they're gonna make some, because like a lot of other bands do now, don't make music because they feel like, oh no, there's no money. Well, if you're a musician and you like playing, you make music. That's what you do. It doesn't matter what's going on with the market. The market sorts itself out. You know, if you can do it and not lose money, you should do it. So hopefully we get some new music with Rat with them. I'm just glad he's back. It took a while, but better late than never. Alright. I guess that about covers it. Until next time, thanks for dropping by. And as always, don't blame the teacher, blame the school.